Okay, trans math class, we're going to look at the notes for section 2.9, section 9 in chapter 2, and the skills maintenance, which is review of what we've done before. So we're making some equivalent fractions. So here what we want to do is change 4/5 into a fraction that has a 15 on the bottom. So the first thing we say is, well, what the bottom, which is a 5, what do I multiply that 5 times to make it 15? The answer to that is 3. And so therefore we have to multiply the numerator by 3 as well. So 4 times 3 would be 12. So 12/15 is equivalent to 4/5. Okay, and continuing on, we have a 2, we have 1/2, we want to change it to something with a 14. So we got to ask ourselves, 2 times what is 14? That answer is 7. So again, 7 on the top and on the bottom. On the top, 1 times 7 would be 7. 1/2 and 7/14 are equal. Okay. 1/6, we want to change that into something that has a 24 on the bottom. So 6 times what is 24? And that would be 6 times 4. So top and bottom times 4. So 4/24 is equivalent to 1/6. Okay, here they're giving us, again, the choice to make whatever equivalent fractions we want. And so if I have 7/7 and I want to make an equivalent fraction, I can choose anything. So let's just go 2's. So 14/14 would be equivalent to 7/7. 1/3, I'll just say 3/3. So that would be 3/9. And 3/5, I'll just say 4/4. I'll multiply each by 4. And so I'd have 12/20, which would be equivalent to 3/5. Okay, so what I've done, I just made equivalent fractions. So 7/7, 14/14 equivalent. 1/3, 3/9 is equivalent, so multiplied by 3 on the top and on the bottom. And again, I could choose any number that I want as long as it's the same on the top and on the bottom to make an equivalent fraction. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to be using equivalence to subtract fractions. And so in this one it says, we use Cuisenaire rod, so we'll just kind of look at the picture they have here. 3/4 minus 1/4. Well, if this is the whole, and then this would represent 3, if we broke that into fourths, and we are representing 3 of those fourths, they'd be right here. And if we want to take one of them away, well, then we're left with 2/4, right? So that's pretty easy. Subtract the numerators, right? 3/4 minus 1/4 would be 2/4. So if the denominators are the same, subtract fractions by subtracting the numerators using the same denominators. So for example, 5/8 minus 3/8, that would just become 2/8. 5 minus 3 is 2. Leave the denominators the same. Okay, so here we can see that we have different denominators. So this would be an example of we have to create an equivalent fraction. And so I want to think, well, what do I multiply the 4 times to make it an 8? And I would have to multiply that by a 2. And I need to do the same thing on the top and on the bottom. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. 7/8, that stays the same. But the 1/4 is going to be 2/8 is my equivalent fraction. And now that I have 8's in the denominator, I can take 7 minus 2 and get 5. So 5/8 is the answer. Okay, so here they kind of set it up for us so we can make our equivalent fraction that we need. So the 1/2, right? So what I would do is I have to say, well, I want to make the 2 into an 8, right? I want to make this 2 into an 8. So that's why they're saying, okay, we have to change 1/2 by multiplying the 2 times 4 so that becomes 8. And we're going to do the same thing here. 1 times 4 is 4. So I'm going to cross out that 1/2, and it's going to be 4/8. Now, we probably aren't going to have these boxes, so what we'd do is we'd say, okay, times 4 times 4. And so therefore, 1 times 4 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and that's going to be my fraction. So now when I subtract, 4 minus 3 is 1, and then I just leave the 8 alone, okay? In this one, 5/6 minus 2/3, I have to change that 3 into a 6, so I'm going to be multiplying that by a 2, so that becomes 6. Got to do the same thing on the top. 2 times 2 would then be 4, right? So this 2/3 now becomes 4/6, and then I'll subtract those. So here I'd look and I'd say, okay, I got to go times 2 times 2, and that's how I'm going to get my equivalent fraction here. So then 5 minus 4 is 1, and then I leave the 6's alone. Okay. And did I do any of these yet? No. Okay. Oh yeah, I did. So we did this one already up top, And what other one did we do? 5/6 minus 2/3. And we already did this one, so I won't redo those. You know what though? Yeah, okay. All right, so we're gonna take, in this one here, number 1, we have an 8 and we have a 4, so we need to change that 4 and change that denominator. So 1/4, we need to multiply the 4 times 2, and so we have to do the same thing top and bottom. 4 times 2 is 8, 1 times 2 is 2. So this problem now reads 3/8 minus, and this would become 2/8. So 3/8 minus 2/8. 3 minus 2 is 1, and then I have the 8 stays the same. Okay, in this one, 9 is my denominator and 3. So I need to multiply that 3 times 3 to make it a 9. And the 1 also times 3, so that's going to be 3. So it'd be times 3 times 3. So the 1/3 becomes 3/9, right? And now I can subtract 5 minus 3, and that would become 2, and the denominator stays 9. All right. And in this one, a little bigger. Okay, so we've got a 5 and a 10. I need to change that 5 so it's the same as this one. So multiply it by 2, right? Times 2 times 2. So I have 8/10. So equivalent to 4/5 is 8/10. So 8 minus 3 is 5, and I leave the 10 the same. These last two we already did in the previous example, so I'm not going to do those again. We did those up here. Okay. All right. It says all problems below involve Frida. Every day when she rides home on the bus, she draws pictures of monsters. Okay. So here's the one picture, and it says, what's the difference? Difference is a key word. That means subtract, right? Subtract. What's the difference between height and the head of the height of the head and the length of the tail? Okay, height of the head is here, 1/2 unit. Length of the tail, 7/8 unit. And so we need to subtract those numbers. And you need to know that 7/8 is a bigger fraction than 1/2, because when we subtract them, we need to do it in the right order. So we have 7/8 minus 1/2. Now when we compare those denominators, they are different, but I can change the 2 into an 8 if I multiply it by 4. So multiply the same number top and bottom. Now my problem reads 7/8 minus 4/8. 7 minus 4 is 3, and I leave the bottom the same. All right, what's the difference? Again, difference meaning subtract. What's the difference between the length of the length and the width of this drawing? So the length this way, width I suppose that way. So we have 8/9 minus 1/3. Okay, so I have a 3 here and a 9 here. So I need to change that 3 into the 9 by multiplying it by 3. Got to do the same thing top and bottom. 8/9 minus 3/9 equals 5/9. Okay, 5/9 for my answer. And I think this is our last one. What's the difference between the width of the fist and the height of the head? Okay, so the fist is 3/5, the head is only 1/10. So we have 3/5 minus 1/10. Okay, 5, 10. We need to change that 5 into a 10 by multiplying it by 2. And so we got 6/10 minus 1/10. 6 minus 1 is 5, so I get 5/10 for my answer. All right, and that is it. So there's your 2.9 notes.